Hello everybody, welcome to another review. So I'm going to be reviewing an album that most of the material had been released before the album came out. It's one of the trends that some bands have been doing that I can't get on board with. This is Shapeshifter by Memphis Mayfire. So Memphis Mayfire are back with the 2025 album, but since this is a 30-minute record and we've had 8 singles from this album, that's left us with 2 non-album singles. We had Versus and Lovers War. I'll get to them in a minute, but due to the length, that pretty much meant only 5 minutes of this album is released on the album release date, making me wonder, is it even worth buying it if you've heard a lot of the stuff? Unless you're a big fan, I just think this honestly spoils a lot of the surprise, and there's not really any point going into the album. You've kind of got the EP set up with 8 tracks. Don't really need any more than that if you've really heard the whole thing, but we'll go through it anyway. Shapeshifter, you start off with Chaotic. This is a very mainstream, radio-friendly single. I think they do a mainstream sound okay at times, and I don't think Chaotic is anything awful, but I'm not certainly saying it's a good song. It's one that I think is just okay. If I heard it, I wouldn't really complain, but I don't really have much of a positive opinion on it. It's just kind of there. It feels like kind of Wage War trying to do something like Magnetic, where it's definitely radio friendly, but it's definitely not their best stuff. Infection, I didn't like this one. I generally think this is a very weak single. This one just feels like they try and force the heavy in some points, and then it comes off as very generic. I don't really have any care for this one. I think this honestly kind of was one of the singles that didn't get me hyped for the amount we were getting. Overdose featuring Blindside, this one's definitely one of the better singles. 7th single, I believe. We've had way too many. I don't know why they've had to release so many, because of the formula of, if a band releases enough singles, one of them might pick up traction and make them big. It's sort of less just a gamble, but what it does is it gives you a better chance of making it big, but then it's just going to piss off a lot of your fans that you'll probably lose some anyway. So I feel like, if anything, it's a gamble to lose some of your fan base. But Overdose with Blindside, I think Blindside's additions are kind of refreshing, because it is literally just Memphis Mayfire doing their modern sound, this record, and Blindside's the only thing that kind of gives them a little bit of a distinction there. So Overdose is a fine song in my opinion. Paralyzed, yeah, probably my favourite single. This one just generally feels like the Memphis Mayfire I want to see more of. This was a track of the week for me. It's just fun. I generally think it's got some fun moments. It's a banger, it's catchy, definitely one of their better songs in a while. Hell is Empty, I did not like. I found this one to be very weak instrumentally, and this one was very, very generic. Necessarily Evil is a song I did like as well, one of their better singles. This is the 3rd one. And yeah, I like this one. This one was kind of giving me more hype for this album to be quite good, but yeah, they kind of killed the hype with more singles after this. They really should have just had this be the final single, and could have had some, new stuff to go into the record of. But yeah, it doesn't help as well that the first 8 songs are all singles, so these songs have been out longer than the album release date, and one of the songs has been out for over a year. That's not bad at all, is it? Yeah, Necessary Evil is pretty good though. It's just got some standard instrumentals from Memphis Mayfire. Some moments I'm not the biggest fan of, but I think as a whole it's a decent song. The Other Side, very forgettable. This was the 8th single, the final single I believe. I didn't care for this one. It didn't reel me in. And I think they're kind of going for this more generic octane core metalcore sound, which can work if you can make it work right, but I just don't think Memphis Mayfire is the band to do it. This just feels very cheap by the numbers, just a very over-processed track, and I don't really have any care for it. Shapeshifter, this one's okay, some good uncleans, but I'm not really going to say there's much to it that I really want to go into that I haven't talked about. It just feels like every other track on this record, which a lot of the songs do. Versus is one of the only new tracks we have, and this one is just a calm 1 minute and 39 second song that it doesn't build up, it doesn't really go anywhere, it's just kind of this calm spoken song. Are you kidding me? At least if they were to just try and keep more of the consistency, but the fact that one of the songs barely feels like a song, is very laughable, honestly. And then we have Lover's War, the final song, which I think is just very basic. It just feels like a lot of the other stuff on here. Same style hook. There's not really anything that stood out to me. I don't find this album to really have anything that's really catchy. And to be honest, I just don't think it really needed to have this much singles, especially since the material here certainly is not close to the best stuff the band's put out. The Remade in Misery record definitely has a lot better, stronger songs than this, and this just feels like a huge weak step. Similar to Broken, I find this just to be a very lackluster, very generic record that doesn't really do anything other than try to be over-processed and in your face with it. It's just such a weak record that I have no interest in spending my time going into it. Early Memphis May Fire used to have some absolute bangers, and it's such a shame to see that this is the material again, but it is what it is at the end of the day. We've had 8 songs out. That's kind of given us enough of a picture to know what the album is. I was even thinking of reviewing the album with the 8th single out and not even talking about the rest of the stuff, because I could just make the prediction that you're going to probably have one song that doesn't do much and the other song's just going to kind of feel like another generic song on the album. And while I didn't get the 1 minute 30 second thing right, because I thought it would be an actual interlude, I wasn't far off. This is a very predictable, forgettable album that I just think it does not hold up compared to their earlier works whatsoever. This is a weak album. I'm going to have to give it a 2 out of 5. I have no interest really going into this one. Definitely one of the weakest metalcore albums in a while. So I hope you'll enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.